All right, back here, WSJU, The Voice. We've got a very special guest with us today, Rod Boone from Newsday. Rod, how are you?
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Thanks for coming on. A few technical difficulties there, but we're all set now. So thank you for fitting us into your busy schedule. And we've been talking all day about the Jets and the problems that they've had. Obviously, the biggest one seemed to be Mark Sanchez. What's the feeling around Jets camp as far as Mark's performance and where he goes from here?
Well, obviously, he has to go up. I mean, he can't go pretty much down from what he did on Monday night. I mean, you know, you don't even throw for 100 yards and you complete 10 passes or whatever it was in 20 attempts. I mean, he has to play much better than that. But Rex Ryan actually said yesterday he thinks that possibly him drilling into Mark's head the turnover issue and making sure that he doesn't turn the ball over against the Ravens could have caused Sanchez being a little bit, you know, gun-shy. Because obviously Rex said that he feels that if you got turnovers to the Ravens, if you give those guys extra possessions, they're going to beat you. So with that being the case, I think Sanchez might have had a little bit of a trigger finger, you know, so to speak. He didn't want to, you know, obviously go out there and make a mistake. So that could be a part of the issue, but he definitely has to play better than he had Monday because this team has to have him play at a high level if they're going to get to where they want to get to this year.
And how much of that Sanchez's weak performance was a result of the rest of the offense not doing too much? We mentioned Sean Green only 18 yards rushing, LaDainian Tomlinson 62 yards rushing. Are people concerned that the run game is a problem for the New York Jets?
You know what? I would say the run game probably isn't a problem. And I remember last year people said the same thing the first couple of weeks of the season, and we know what happened there. They ran for 2,700 yards, the most ever in franchise history. So the run game is not a problem. I just think that the offensive cohesion is just not there, man. It just seemed like they didn't do very much in the preseason, having, I think, one touchdown and like maybe 18 possessions of first-team offense. So, I mean, they haven't done much, you know, since obviously training camp began. So this is really, in my mind, just a fertilization, so to speak, of just the problems they've had since training camp began. And they show flashes every now and then, but they have yet to put it together consistently enough, in my mind. And that's partly why you saw what you saw on Monday night.
Hey, Rod, it's Timmy. We've been good, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for calling. First of all,
no problem.
With Jenkins now being out, they were first reporting that it might not be an ACL tear, but yesterday news breaking that he's going to be out for the season. What's the feeling there on the defensive side, and where do the Jets look to go from here? You
know what? The players will look to last year and tell you that, you know, when Jenkins went down October 18th against the Bills last year, you know, people thought that the Jets season was over right then and there. A couple of weeks later, you know, they had a couple of issues there at first trying to stop the run without him, but once they kind of plugged that hole with Sione Puha and Howard Green, they were okay there. So they believe they'll be able to be okay there again this year. Obviously, Jenkins is a huge, huge loss, and he's somebody who's very unique at what he does. But at the end of the day, they believe they'll be able to do a replacement by committee. They signed Howard Green, a former guy who talked about who was just there last year, today. So they're going to try to move quickly and kind of fill these holes that Jenkins leaves because really you can't replace him with just one guy. But they believe they'll be able to be okay at the end of the day by putting Sione Puha, you know, Mike DeVito, you know, maybe even put a little bit of Brian Thomas there sometimes every now and then, and Howard Green. They'll believe they'll be able to be okay at nose tackle.
And we're talking to Rod Boone of Newsday coming up here on 11:30 on WSJU. And, Rod, I'll leave you with this. Obviously, the Darrelle Revis holdout the entire preseason until they're able to, in the 11th hour, get a contract done before Week 1. He had said before the game against Baltimore that he wasn't in football shape. He was only thrown at 3 times on Monday night. What do you expect from Darrelle Revis on Sunday going up against a much more high-powered New England offense?
I expect Revis to be even better than he was on Monday, if that makes any sense. I mean, he's a guy, like you said, who basically locks down his half of the field. That's what he does. And coming off his holdout, 36 days, you know, we weren't sure if he was going to be able to play the entire game at a high level. But he showed he did. I mean, I believe he had just one penalty, I believe, which was early in the game. But for the most part, he played pretty well. So he locked down Randy Moss in both appearances last year. Been a little trash talk with Randy Moss, you know, saying that, you know, last year Revis called him a slouch. So he says he'll see the slouch on Sunday. So it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out. But I believe Revis is the top of his game still. And I think he takes it as a challenge when he goes against guys like Randy Moss to go out there and show he's one of the best, if not the best cornerback in the league. So I believe we'll have an even better performance than he had on Monday this week against the Patriots because, again, he's had one more week up under his belt. He feels more comfortable out there now. He's back to his almost close to his old self. So I think he'll be just fine come Sunday.
And, the Jets certainly hope so now with Jenkins down and the rest of that defense looking to shut down the New England offense. But thank you very much for coming on, Rod. We appreciate it and fitting us into your busy schedule.
Okay, no problem. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rod.
Rod Boone of Newsday, everyone. Always doing a fantastic job covering the New York Jets. You can follow him on Twitter at Rod Boone, RODBOONE, for all your things New York Jets.